Hello everybody, my name is Steve and welcome to YouTube Fishing number 4. Now if you're not familiar with this series, what it's about is helping other fishing YouTube channels to catch more subscribers and get more views. So what today's episode is going to be about is the YouTube, and I put the R at the end, the YouTuber fishing. And what that means is that we're going to analyze the top YouTube fishing channels that are out there to basically get our fishing report, to see what they're doing, what they're using to get more subscribers, to get more views. So let's go ahead and check out 4 of my top picks. Now for our first channel, 1Rod1Reel. Now he is probably the most influential fishing YouTube channel that is out there. He has been the catalyst for pretty much all the growth channels in this category. So any of all the YouTubers in that 200,000 and up, probably majority of the 100,000 and up, probably most of the 50,000 and up can be directly contributed to standing on his coattails and riding it up with him. Back in the days, I think I started watching the fishing YouTubes when BlacktipH was around that 50,000 subscriber mark, and 1Rod1Reel had just done that one video about his I forgot what the name of that fishing was. It was a tournament, just some tournament that he did, and for whatever reason YouTube picked on it and chose it, and it just basically blew up. And after that point, he's basically walked on gold steps ever since then. And anybody attached to him has pretty much ridden that rail up with him. Not to take anything away from him, his channel was poised and ready for that influential kickoff, and he didn't just let it go up and then start going back down again. He just added, built it, changed and adapted, and continued that growth even to this day. So the important parts that I get from him is personality. Again, love him or hate him, all right? One of the things that attracts so many viewers to him is his personality. Now, are you going to say, oh, it's because he's a great fisherman? Honest with you, no. He's done a great deal of learning in this last year or so that he's been really putting his effort into his channel and able to make it a full time, where he has to go out 3, 4, 5 days a week and fish for a different variety. So his experience level has quadrupled times 10 of the normal person. So that part of it is very important. So he has gotten a lot better, but still his core fishing skills, not what the channel blew up about. People didn't go to his channel for fishing tips. It was because initially his personality made it interesting. He was a fun guy. He's always positive. He's a little bit quirky. He's a little bit geeky, but very enjoyable to watch. A very fun, personable person. And that's where that personality comes in. Now I should put a slash. I've got 2 key characteristics that I pulled out, and a third one that I've adapted to my channel, which is the asterisk. But I will say, I'll put a slash there on his personality in specific and say his YouTube business sense is very good, okay? It's not just luck, the stuff that he does. If you really take the time to analyze a lot of his just fishing videos, but where he's explaining what's and why he's doing things, in particular about his channel, you'll pick up a lot of very good information because he does spell it out pretty well. Especially his earlier videos when things are taking off and he's just trying to understand it himself, so he makes videos about those. But he's adapted very well on his growth and just keep that momentum going. So a very smart guy in that resort, so I don't take anything away from him in that part of it. Number 2 is social media. That guy will challenge, well, I make fun of it a lot when people ask me about if I have other social media stuff out there. I say, yeah, I do, but I can barely keep up with just the YouTube and comments, let alone Instagram, Twitter, and all the other stuff that goes with it. But him, I mean, that guy, I would put him up against any teenage girl anytime in regards to keeping up with that social media. I mean, just does an excellent job of that. And why that's so important is, if you watch, especially his earlier videos when he was really growing, he would be reeling in a fish with one hand, or with the rod in one hand, and he'd have his cell phone in his other hand. And on his cell phone, he'd have 3 or 4 or 5 apps open. He'd be hitting the Twitter button, doing some tweets out. He taking photos and sending them on his Instagram. He had Periscope and people watching him, and Facebook updates and so forth, all at the moment that he's reeling in the fish. And you have to remember is, like example, my channel without the other social medias, I pull from one group, which is YouTube viewers. And that's who I pull from. I don't get them from outside resources. But with him, he also has a pull of a Twitter fan base that he can tell, hey, go check out this video, and that brings them to his YouTube channel. He's got pictures with information about, oh, this is what I caught on this trip. If you want to see it, check out this video. And they come from Instagram. Or he could have it on Periscope, or he's going to do Facebook Live or whatever. So each one of those is a separate pool of basically customers that he's bringing in to his channel versus my one. So his growth will always be 5 to 10 times greater because his customer base is 5 to 10 times bigger than mine. So very smart in the way he does that. Very, very smart in regards to do that. I've made enough money for my channel. The first person I'm hiring is a teenage girl with fast thumbs. I can just take over all that stuff for me because it's just hard for me. I'm just not interested in it, but it's just something you have to think about and to do. Then my asterisk part. This is what applies to me, my takeaway. Put it that way. When I have these asterisks, that's my takeaway from his channel. Am I going to have his personality? No. Am I going to be able to keep up with him in social media? No. So this is what I can do. Stick with core. All right. And what that means is he's making a lot of money now. Be honest with you. He's doing really well. He's #1 YouTuber, fishing industry, billion-dollar industry. He's getting paid pretty well. So he's got money. He can fly all over the place and do stuff and do whatever and really have a lot of different variety of content because he's got the money to back it now. But for instance, one instance, if you were a bass guy like he is and you primarily fish from shore and you got a big 50 grand check in the mail for whatever, wouldn't you be considering, like, one of the first things people would buy, like a big purchase, would probably be a boat, like a bass boat or so forth. Nice sparkly boat with a bunch of brand stickers on it and a matching painted truck with all the sparklies and so forth. I mean, to be honest, I think a lot of the bass people are into that stuff, and they would go out and just drop that money and get that nice setup. But if you realize with him, he hasn't done that, and there's a good reason for that. Now, he doesn't come out and blatantly say it, but to be honest, it's really easy to figure out. It's that sticking with his core. He knows what category built his channel up. And that core group is that younger bass fishing, freshwater, shore fishing group. Those are the ones that have supported his growth from the beginning till now. Sure, now he's getting saltwater people and different waters now that he's doing other things, but I would say 90% of his core is that shore fishermen, younger anglers out there that would probably bail on him if he bought a big expensive bass boat and just fished off his bass boat, and when he wasn't on there, he was fishing in the saltwater somewhere, doing this bunch of other stuff or some other foreign countries and stuff. That core group would just say, this guy's gone. He's out of our league now, and then it would go downhill. So even though he's doing those stuff, he's going to Florida every couple of weeks, he's going here, he's going there, you always see him going back to his core part. He always ends up doing a video about fishing some little pond, some little river, some little lake, fishing with some basic rigs that everybody can afford to do because of that aspect of it. Very important. I think just very key part of after you've grown your channel, you have to be very protective of. For me, okay, good idea not to go into video game reviews and car reviews and do all this other stuff. Stick to what my channel is about: fishing in the Keys, kayak fishing, so forth. So that's my takeaway on that. So let's move on to the next one. The second channel is BlacktipH. Now he is or had been the #1 YouTube fishing channel, and used to be for the longest time. I think I'm not even sure how long, but I would say he would be considered one of the OG guys up till, I mean, prior to me doing this video, I had him as the #1 guy this whole time until I just recently went back and took a look, because I don't really watch these guys that much anymore, but I went back to just kind of get some basic statistics and saw that 1Rod1Reel had actually taken him out in the subscriber race. But anyways, he is the OG guy of YouTube fishing, if you didn't know who he is. And the H in BlacktipH means hunter, just in case you wanted to know. Now, just like in 1Rod1Reel, I've got the 2 key characteristics, and then I've got the 1 asterisk, which my takeaway that applies to my channel. So let's go to #1, Sharks, Goliath, ? And what that was is basically his strategy of types of videos when he initially started his channel. And that, to be honest, was with the sharks. Up until probably 6 months ago, it's been pretty much consistently about shark fishing and that impact of seeing these big giant sharks coming out and using those big rods and yank them out, and seeing all those sharks attacking and so forth. Just if you want big ratings on your views, just put sharks in your video somewhere, your thumbnail, and you'll get views. But that's where his growth really came from. There's not a pool of shark fishermen out there, but the entertainment value of sharks is huge. It's probably the most influential fish that's out there is the shark, and that's what he basically focused on in the beginning of growing his channel. It's called BlacktipH. Blacktip Hunter is his channel name, so you go figure. Then I think he was smart in knowing that you could only keep repeatedly catching sharks over and over before people go, "Didn't you just catch a shark the last 5 times you were out? Do you not know how to fish?" Whatever. So, but then he picked the #2 probably most influential fish, and that's the Goliath grouper, or a Jewfish. They're big, monstrous, crazy looking. They're relatable. They look like a bass except 100 times bigger, and they're shocking, that entertainment shock value. So he started doing some of those, and that kept them ramped up. Sharks, Goliath, kept it different, so it's never the same, and so forth. And it kept growing. Then to the question mark. What changed is, go back to my first person, 1Rod1Reel. One of the things that BlacktipH was very sounding out quite a bit was that he had the #1 fishing channel out there, and he was the one. And he was, so it was righteous to say so. But this last 6 months or so, 1Rod1Reel has just constantly been growing, whereas with just sharks and Goliath, they had kind of flattened out. A couple other channels started doing the same thing, so that kind of dissipates things. People kind of get immune to seeing sharks getting caught over and over. They know what a Goliath grouper is now, so it's not that impactful. So his was just kind of slowly gradual, where 1Rod1Reel had a more steeper growth pattern there. And in order to adapt to that, you can see in the last 6 months, if you start checking out his videos, now he's all over the place. He's fishing for whatever in the salt. He's going in the fresh water, catching bass and bluegills and whatever he can now, just because he knows that just these two are no longer good these days. You have to adapt in order to stay interesting in YouTube and to keep people's attention and to keep growing. So that was one. The 2 is probably, I should have made this 2 the #1, is BlacktipH has always had the best business on YouTube fishing. Okay, I would say he's probably top in YouTube in general in regards to building a business around his YouTube channel. If you think that he makes all his effort and time and money on BlacktipH YouTube, you're wrong. Look into his details of all the other stuff that he does. He's very much into quality sponsorships. And when I say sponsorships, most people think, oh, so he gets a free hat, he gets a free Shimano t-shirt, or he maybe gets some lures free. No, the sponsors that he's getting are like, here's a paycheck type of sponsors. Real sponsors that are supporting him and his channel. As well as ones where you buy his products and then he gets money for it. He's got, I think it's Tackle Warehouse, or one of the big tackle shops, has a whole line of his name brand BlacktipH series fishing equipment. So if you're targeting shark stuff, he is the man. So he's got his own line to feature on that to make money off of as well. He's been the most professional. If you look at his equipment that he uses TV quality equipment to make his videos be TV-like quality videos. So very professional in the way that he's built his business organization. My takeaway actually goes back to the number one, which is the adapting part. You've got to adapt. You have to be able to not just do things. It's not good to say it. It's not totally do stuff that is beneficial just for the monetary side or the popularity side, but you do have to take that part into consideration. And the more you value that part of subscriber count, view count, income, is the more value you put on that adaptability, on changing things in your channel to gear towards those over your personal interests, where in the beginning you're doing it for fun, so who cares what everybody else thinks? If you don't like it, don't watch it. But when you start making those the focus because they need to be, then it becomes, I need to make these kind of videos because that's what people are going to want to watch, and those are the people that are going to buy this stuff from these groups, and that's how I'm going to make my money in the end result. So that adapting part of it, what he's having to go through now is, in order to stay relevant and stay on that top tier, is he's got to do other types of fishing that, based on his name, is probably not what his focus on, of going bass fishing. Largemouth bass H is probably not what he's wanting to do, but you have to adapt if that is going to be your priority. So that's my takeaway for number 2. So let's go to number 3. Now our third influential fishing YouTuber is LakeForkGuy. Another one, he's coming down the scales a bit, but for me, I find him still one of the more influential people out there, or should be one of the more influential fishing YouTubers out there. Now, the two things that I get takeaway from him is, one, he is a true professional fisherman, or he was a professional fisherman. And I think that's a very important part when you're talking about YouTube videos and YouTube fishing, where people that know how to use a camera tends to make them be more of a professional fisherman than being a knowledgeable fisherman that doesn't know how to use a filming gear or how to do YouTube. All right. So basically what it means is, just because you have a YouTube fishing channel doesn't necessarily mean you're a very good fisherman, is basically what I'm saying. But in his regard, his key thing over a lot of other YouTubers is that he is a professional. He may not do it now because he's doing the YouTube side of it, but he is a pro angler, he's a professional guide, and knows that aspect of, if you don't catch something, you don't eat. Where a lot of people on the recreational fishing don't quite understand of how focused you have to be a professional angler, where you're spending a couple thousand to 10,000 to plus money in order just to participate in a tournament, not meaning you're guaranteed anything unless you produce results. Or the same thing as a guide, if you don't catch fish, you're not going to have happy customers, which means you're not going to get referrals, which means you're not going to be eating. So people in that field tend to take fishing a lot more seriously and spending less time worrying about camera angles and equipment and their appearance and so forth. It's how do I get fish in the boat is the priority. And that's kind of what he brings to the table is if you want to know about how to fish, look towards the professional people that make a living off of it to get the kind of the core real deal what's going on, if they're legitimately wanting to put that out there. But that's one of his key things, ex-guide, ex-tournament angler, and very good YouTuber as well. 2, outdoor media, okay? One of the things I pick up on him is that he is a very marketable person. Good looking, he's got a pretty wife, he's got a little dog, he's got the nice house in the suburbs, he's got a nice boat, nice truck. He's very well presentable, neatly groomed. He speaks very, very well. All right. He's got that little Texan twang there that makes everybody feel a little more comfortable. But he's also very knowledgeable. And getting those two are very, very big pluses in regards to standing out as a YouTube channel. He not only knows what he's doing, but he also knows how to communicate it. And he makes people like 1Rod1Reel has that quirky personality. He has a very professional but yet friendly type of mentality to him that he personifies that you get from him. He's the good fishing buddy. So very good in that experience. And plus he does have a total background in all the different types of outdoor media in regards to working with companies, being part of the companies, being part of the companies that market those companies, as well as in front of the camera, behind the camera, on the editing part. So if you spend time taking a look at his equipment, how he uses it, how he edits his videos, they're probably about the close to TV quality as you go around. Just like BlacktipH is on that scenic part of it, his is probably more production value, is a lot cleaner, and is closer to like a TV show that you're gonna get because he knows the in and outs of a professional TV show, that type of it. So very well balanced of what he's got going. So one of the things, my takeaways, and it's also very good for you guys, take a look at his descriptions, okay? It's hard to explain his photography, videography knowledge, but if you take a look at his description, so he's got his video, he's put his title, which is always good, because his thumbnail, but then if you have the first couple lines of his description, then you open that up, you'll see all that stuff that entails in his description box. And read through about how much detail he goes into in regards to a description about a particular video. I mean, he basically writes a storyline about that video. Now, you don't get to necessarily see what people put on tags, but if he puts that much effort into his descriptions, you can guarantee that his tags underneath are just as on point as his description is. So all his stuff adds up to a successful YouTube channel. So I would say take a look at his channel for that professional side of it, very detailed. Would I go to look at his channel to see what the newest and greatest techniques, strategies are out there for this type of stuff? Before it was just put a description and you're fine. Nowadays, no, they want that metadata. They want all those boxes filled out and not with just quick crap. Very pronounced, specific, detailed descriptions, tags, thumbnails, titles, all right? So, and that's what he's very good at in portraying. So definitely check out his stuff there. All right, number 4. Okay, our fourth and last example is FlukeMaster. Now his is a little different. His is I'm going to say is a cautionary tale. He's the one that I worry about the most. He's part of the group that rode the coattails of 1Rod1Reel as he came up there. There's the group of 5 or 6 of those bass guys, the kids, that all kind of moved up with 1Rod1Reel. And he also jumped on that and was part of that bandwagon and just kind of took off this last year and a half. But his strengths, and this is where it's hard to nail him down, because he's transitioned. This will be his 3rd kind of transition. Before, originally, he was like really into fishing, but he was into the how-tos, very much into teaching and showing people how to fish and catch bass and so forth, from boats, kayaks, or any type of fishing. Very detailed explanations, very, very good in that regard. It's very, very knowledgeable. But once he got on that kind of bandwagon ride with 1Rod1Reel, they all basically kind of just duplicated what 1Rod1Reel was doing. And so they all had that same kind of video going forward. It worked up until a point for a lot of them, but I think where he struggles is he's an older guy with a family, with a mortgage, okay, that his priorities are a lot different than a lot of the 1Rod1Reel and these other guys, these other channels that are similar to him, where it's more of a carefree type mentality. It's just, let's just see what happens, and if it fails, got mom and dad's gonna send me to college, and no worries, I always have something to fall back on. Where he's looking at like, whoa, if this fails, okay, I'm gonna lose my house or whatever, and then I need to get back and go to my regular job where I was getting a steady paycheck and so forth. So he went from that how-tos doing pretty well, and then 1Rod taking off, so they all kind of grabbed on and all grew pretty big. Then he kind of started stumbling because it's not so fun watching an older guy vlogging and doing all that stuff, where the younger guy's really into it. Watching him do it, I don't think was that interesting to the younger crowd, which is that majority of that base that grew those channels. So I think he's going into a transition now. He's going back to the how-to, so that part is relevant. And hopefully that works out for him. But the number 2 is fishing. That's what he did. He fishes. Everything is about fishing, going fishing, watching me fishing, talking about how he's fishing and so forth. And that was a key characteristic for his channel. It wasn't all that vlogging, and it wasn't about all this, it wasn't all that. Is that if you wanted to watch someone fishing and to learn how to do that yourself, then he was the one to go to. And that's another one he started trying to get away from, but now he's kind of going back to. So hopefully that works out for him. And my takeaway from his channel is that balance part, is that you just got to be very careful on all these steps that you're taking, and pay attention. Just like I'm analyzing these other channels, I need to take a step back and take a look at my channel to see the decisions that I'm making are the right ones and for the right reasons and so forth and so on. More popularity brings you, maybe changes your priorities, and then all of a sudden my channel's over here doing pranks and beauty channels and that kind of stuff, where I lose that core part of it, and then I don't know why my channel is struggling and so forth. But that's that part, is the checks and balances, I guess I should call it, is just be very wary of your circumstances. So I think he's coming on close to 200,000 subscribers, but if you look at his view counts on his individual videos, they're not strong. I'll just leave it at that. They're not strong versus what his subscriber count is, and that would be very worrisome. And that's a good lead into my next video about this YouTube fishing. I think will be number 5, which will be about analyzing your channel or a channel. How I go about analyzing other channels, but because I don't have the total information and I don't want to pick apart another channel, I'm going to go and pick apart my channel. Okay, go through how I figure all these things out, but go into detail, item by item, what to look for, what shows what a channel is strong, when a channel is weak, when a channel looks like it's strong but is actually weak, when a channel looks weak but is actually very strong. what works, what's not working. All right, those are some very easy clues, and I think it'll help out a lot of people. But it's dependent on you have videos out there, and another channel or another video I'm making that goes back to having that library of 50 videos being so important. If you have 10, 20 videos, it's very hard to do this analysis because you don't have enough data to really show anything. So, and once you get to that point where you've got the videos out there, and most likely you're going to have to be picking up in your subscribers, you're going to be picking up in your viewers, then you'll have a core piece of data that you can look at and utilize this next video that I'm going to do to break it down and kind of see where you're at so that you can make changes here and there to see if it works, and then be able to do it again to see if those changes were beneficial or not. So anyways, that's the next channel or the next video that I'm going to be doing. This kind of was a lead into that, but I do want you to look at other channels in the way that I did. Since your channels, if it's a smaller channel, doesn't have all that data to be able to do that stuff, you can at least go to these larger channels that have all that stuff out there and be able to kind of pick them apart and figure out those things. See if you can analyze what makes a channel a successful channel, as well as figuring out what parts of that can you take from them to adapt to your own channel, to your own person, to make your channel better. Okay, so that's kind of the takeaway. All these guys, to be honest with you, I don't even look at them anymore. I look at your guys' channel, the channels that are up and coming and growing, because I think that's more relevant, because I want to know what's the fresh, what's really making things tick. Because a lot of these people just have the drones that are just going to watch them because they think they have to, and they believe that these are the only ways to make videos, and they're the only way to do anything is to follow 1Rod1Reel, BlacktipH, LakeForkGuy, FlukeMaster, and these other guys is the only way to do a fishing channel. I'm not interested in that. I know I'll take bits and pieces out of them, and if it adapts to me, then I'll use them, but I'm more wanting to know right now, smaller channels, what's doing to get them to grow, because I think that's more organic and more beneficial than trying to pick apart a big channel. So anyways, that is it. Keep an eye out for the next one. Probably the next 30 knot wind day, you'll see my part 5. Thanks for watching.